Hi there, everybody. My name is Reverend Delcom, and this is the 31st episode of Speaking with Autism. Before I start today's video, I know it's been a month since I've made the last video because I've been very busy a lot with school. So hope you guys understand. I really appreciate for y'all's patience. Secondly, it is International Women's Month and Day, so happy for our women who have worked very hard during for their jobs, for everything that they have done. And third and lastly, we lost a legend today of Akira Toriyama, who created Dragon Ball, Dragon Quest, so many others. And like all of you, we're all still in shock in all this, so rest in peace, Akira Toriyama. You will be missed, and thank you so much for making these incredible characters. We miss you, Sensei. And now, onto today's video. Have you ever been around with someone who think is really your friend, but we have toxic people around the world, from parents, friends, coworkers, bosses, all that stuff. So when is the point when you think you're just fed up with being around these people that bring down the negative energy and around you, and you just need to find something to like lighten up the atmosphere and your energy so you can let yourself free from this kind of situation. And that's where I had to learn like almost a month ago. That's kind of one of the reasons why I had a hard time making the video during the month of February, because I had to deal with a toxic person who I thought was my friend, but turns out it was brought down a negative energy that I shouldn't have, and neither should y'all. And it was hard to let go. But first and foremost, what is a toxic person? A toxic person is a narcissistic, manipulative, and tries to control you on what you should be. Psych Central says that a toxic person can feel like is very manipulative and can like control you in some way that you are not. Some of the things that they believe that can trigger a toxic person can be NPD, or narcissistic personality disorder, childhood trauma, or other issues. So basically, a toxic person can like control you in a way that they think that you should be this, but you're not. So they're trying to make you be what the opposite of you. Like example, they want you to be normal, but nobody is ever gonna be normal. Just be who you are, and that'll be all right, because I had that too. I'll explain it after all this presentation. So, what are the signs of a toxic person? Here are 5 signs of a toxic person and 4 things you should do about it. So, number 1, walking on eggshells. Now, I don't mean literally walking on eggshells. What I mean is that when you're surrounding yourself with somebody, try to talk to them and see how everything's going. And like when you staring at somebody, maybe you should rate their behavior, as it's called the moodometer, which is down like this as a positive, all the way down where it's really negative. So study their mood, study their behavior, and have like a talk with them and see if anything like you feel like, okay, this is not for me. I don't want to talk to this person. So always figure out, set up a meter, and you're thinking, okay, this person good? Is it okay, kind of in the middle, or just bad and just like, okay, I'm sorry, I try to help you, but I can't. So I'm sorry. Number 2, stonewalling. Does that sound familiar? Let me explain. So stonewalling is, you have this person here and this person here. This is you. This is your friend, the toxic person. So when you're trying to engage someone you're trying to talk to, they set up this wall where like they're just flat out ignoring you. They're you think that they're talking to you, but they're not. They're like trying to separate themselves so that they're just in la la land saying, "Oh well, I'm not gonna talk." So you're you're talking to me, but they're not listening. And some of them will like put their glasses on, put on their hats or their coats, sweater, and pretend that they're talking to you, but they're not. They're trying to avoid a conversation because they don't want to hear what you're saying. Number three, inconsistent. When you're being inconsistent, it means you don't know what you're doing, or what the person doesn't know what he's doing, he or she is doing. And and when you're trying to talk with someone, you feel like that. Okay, they don't know what you're doing. You keep talking to them, whether it's your parents, your friend, boss, coworker, any of that stuff, and they don't want that they're not and they're really oblivious. That shows that they're being inconsistent. It shows that you know they don't know what they're doing. You may think that when they have you all have like a plan coming up, and they like have cold feet. They're being inconsistent. That means they don't know if they're ready to. They don't want to talk to you, but they're like denying the fact that hey, this happened, but it's just an excuse for them to like say they don't ever want to talk to you or even hang out with you because they may be scared, or they don't, or just say that, oh, I'm not ready to talk, so they're not going to talk to you. They're not going to talk to you either way. The fourth thing is you feel guilty. If y'all had like a fight, we always have arguments all the time. Arguments are never going to stop. Just like arguments with our family, my brother, your siblings, brother, sister, cousins, friends, we'll always have arguments no matter what. But what happens when you have like a bad argument and you feel guilty? You feel guilty that you let this person down because you tried so hard to be better, but yet they're the ones who make you look like the bad guy or the bad person because you brought down this path where you try to say like, look, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to shouldn't have said this, but like, right, you shouldn't have said it, but at the same time, you need to give someone, hey, like, a common sense saying that, look, I'm here to be your friend, your parent, or any of that stuff. I'm not here to be your punching bag. And that's what I had to experience with. There are times where where somebody that talks about feels guilty, but most point of the blame will be at that person. Example, me. And I had to learn, okay, this wasn't my fault. I tried to do my best. So don't ever feel guilty when something like this happens because it's not your fault. It's the toxic person's fault. The fifth and final sign of a toxic person: problems but no solutions. So not everything has to have a solution. Not every problem has a solution. And what does that mean? You have problems. We all have problems. We have problems talking to, like example, the toxic person. But and there are problems, but do we have a conclusion whether it's okay? So if you ever try to talk with someone and they're like, yeah, yeah, that's good, we're all good. That's Was that really a solution? Because it can come back and bite you in the rear end. Just like an example, November, didn't even talk. Until the start of this year, we finally started talking, and then the next month later, exploded, didn't even talk again. Because we're trying to figure out how and why this is happening. And if you need a solution, then talk to that person, or talk to your parents. Explain the situation, what is going on, and see what will work. Now, those are the 5 signs. Now, what are the 4 things you should do about it? The first thing you do is talk to them. It's simple. Just talk to them. Tell them what's their problem, and they're going to explain to you what is the problem. It can be, okay, it can be the light, I'm not doing good, but it also can get into the deepness of like, you know, example, the person, you know, his father or his mother abandoned him when he was like 5 years old. And he really feels like that because, when you have when somebody's parent leaves at like a young age, they don't know better. And I felt like, okay, most point of the blame is towards them because they don't know how to behave, they don't know how to what is right or wrong, or they feel like, oh, I felt like this, so I'm gonna do the same thing to that person. So just have a conversation with them. But while doing that, while we're on that same topic, limit your time around them. Like set up a time limit, like 15 to 20 minutes. Give that as an example. Talk to them for 15 to 20 minutes, set up that limit so you can just have a better understanding of what this person is going through. And once that happens, maybe there could be a solution. This is predetermined because you planned this out, so you don't know if it's gonna happen or not. And so once you set up the time limit, you all can either go back again, or at some point it's gonna explode and it may not end well. And number three, set boundaries. You be prepared yourself to set yourself for any worse or good or case scenario, because there at some point it's gonna either go well or it's not gonna end well. Because you want to set yourself whenever that toxic person could lash out at you at any time, because they feel like they're in control and you're not in control, but you're the one who's in control, not them, because because you're here to understand what is their deal, why are they acting like this, am I really their friend, or do I even belong with these people? Because you're trying to ask yourself, I'm setting up myself for this kind of behavior with this person, so am I really ready to handle this? And last and not least, the fourth thing you should do, walk away. Don't look back, just leave. Because are fed up with this person, and you don't want to do anything, and you don't want to happen to deal with this again. You don't want this negative energy, you don't want this angerness inside you. You want to be released. Have this light atmosphere around you. Surround yourself with people that you should be around with, not the person that you already have had to deal with because it already went down. And the reason I said this, because this happened to me. I had to deal with that almost a month ago, and it's also on the spectrum of autism, because because autism people like me, we had to develop. Because as kids, we had to learn how to crawl, how to talk, how to speak. And me, I was being like very stubborn. I was starving myself to death until my dad had to teach me to eat. I was afraid I couldn't speak, and I was 4 years ahead of my ex best friend, because I was told at 16 years old that I have autism, and I had to learn. And I found out the reason why I got into Boy Scouts, because I had to surround myself with boys to see if I'm ready to talk with these people, and not sure if they're going to be either toxic or good. I'm not even sure what I was ever going to be prepared for. And I had to learn quickly that get out of the house more often and find some group of people to bring in a light, positive energy to let myself go of this darkness. And you guys can do the same thing too. If you have a toxic relationship with friends, boyfriend, girlfriend, parents, co-workers, all that stuff, get out of there. Get out of there as soon as possible and surround yourself with people who bring in a light, positive energy. Because trust me, when I say that darkness is going to come down on that negative energy when you're surrounded with someone toxic, it's not going to end well, and it's going to bite you in the rear end until it's too late to get out of there quickly. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Please comment, like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, share it with your friends, share it with everybody. My name is River Duggan, and I speak autism. Have a nice day and have a great spring break.